Man, we've got something interesting happening this spring, and you're really going to want to tune in because it's going to help you decide whether you want to buy or sell or just wait whenever it comes to the real estate market here in Rutherford County. Uh, I'm John Turner. I'm the team lead of the Turner Victory team at Onward Real Estate. We bring you the Murfreesboro Real Estate Report every week, and we've got some interesting data this week that we're going to go over here shortly. Thank you for tuning in. Before we get started, please subscribe, please like, and if you have any comments, questions, please put those down below as well. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into some numbers here. First of all, this week, the Turner Victory team market health score, we've got it as at a 50 right now, which is a balanced market. Means it's not really favoring buyers. It's not favoring sellers. It actually works for both parties. So that's a good thing. And this is made up of some local market data. It's made up of macro indicators and also our demand signals. Our demand signals usually, what that means is those are leading indicators for us. So we try to pull all this in and put a score on it and see what it looks like. As I said, our balance or our market health score is a 50. Right now in Rutherford County, as of today, we have 1,377 available homes on the market in the MLS. That represents 3.42 months supply of inventory. As we scroll down here, and we do this every week, you can look at your particular price range that you're interested in and see what information you would like to see. I'll go over some of this with you. By the way, if you're not on our email list, we email this information out every Sunday afternoon or evening. So feel free to comment below or to reach out to us. You can send me an email direct at John, that's John, at turnervictory.com. Or you could go to our website, turnervictory.com, fill out a contact there, give us your email address. We'll make sure you get on this list. So right now, under 300,000, if you look at this, active on the market, 92 homes, 2.2% of those are new construction. So these blue columns represent the new construction. In the 300,000s, 289 available units right now, with 29% of those being new construction. And you could go on down the list and see how all this works to add up to our 1,377 active homes on the market. Almost 40% of those homes that are on the market is new construction. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more here shortly. New to the market. These are not new homes, but new to the market. 112 new listings this week. 40% of those that came on the market are new construction. We had 128 homes go under contract this week, with about a third of those being new construction. So that means that about 2/3 of them were existing homes. 80 homes closed this week, and nearly half of those were new construction. So it's interesting to see this play with new construction. And again, we'll talk about that here in a minute. The average month supply across all price ranges is 3.42 month supply. 500,000 and below, we have basically 3 months or less supply. Once you get above that, we're getting into the 4s and even into the 5s as far as month supply. So definitely building up a little bit right there. And anything over 1 million, we are well over half a year's supply, and over 1.5 million, almost a year's supply as far as inventory goes. When we break this down to the charts, this is very interesting right here, in my opinion. Now, we're going to pay attention to the orange lines as we look at the active inventory counts. Active inventory for this week is 1,377 units. It is up over last year. It's actually up 17% over last year. We had 1,178 last year, but this is kind of residual from the whole buildup. If you look at 2025 numbers, this dark blue line, it built up pretty high last year, well above 1,600 units. So some of what we're seeing right now is the residual of that, because as we've been talking about, we have not been bringing as many new homes onto the market as what we have seen in past years. Our pendings have actually been up. And we've been saying, hey, we need to watch this. We don't know that this number is going to grow a whole lot. And we're right here. We can see where this week it has kind of just downturned a little bit with the number of available homes. One week does not make a trend, but it's something that we kind of thought might happen. And we're going to continue to pay attention to that. Let me help you out here just so you remember it. Supply and demand. If our supply goes down, so the less homes we have on the market, and the demand stays the same, or in this case, we've seen the demand going up, it puts upward pressure on prices. So that actually helps sellers. It hurts buyers. If inventory continues to rise, like we saw last year, it really helped the buyers out and put downward pressure on prices. Right now, we're kind of level here. No real shifts, but we will keep an eye on that and see whether it favors buyers or sellers. Where we look at the month supply, we are at 3.41, 3.42 month supply. That is definitely higher than last year, but we're floating here pretty level. I mean, and as a matter of fact, if you compare it to the summer of last year, our numbers are pretty close. So no major shifts right there. This is where it gets interesting again. Bunch of squiggly lines here, but pay attention to the orange. The orange has been below the light blue. The light blue is 2025. You can see down here. Let me turn 2024 off for a minute to make it a little bit easier for us. And except for week 8, and then the first couple weeks of the month, our new listings have been down over 2025. Even compared to 2024, we've been slightly higher some weeks, whatever, slightly lower some weeks. So really our inventory coming on the market has been closer to 2024 numbers than 2025 numbers. And that's important. So this is some of the lowest numbers we've seen as far as new listings over the past 3 years. Well, you come over here and look at this orange line, and now we're looking at the pendings. And let me pull some of this off and just compare to last year, first of all, because so except for the week where we had the ice storm, new pendings has been higher any other week besides that week and this week. And we weren't off much. 137 this time last year to 128, so just a little difference. Whenever we compare that to 2024, our pendings definitely have been higher than 2024 every week. Except for the week of the ice storm. So as you can see, our new pendings, which predict future sales, are up, and our new listings are down. So that tells me, and we've been seeing this for a little while. It takes a little while for this trend to take shape, and you really see it in our inventory numbers. But we're starting to see it a little bit in our inventory numbers. So pretty interesting right there. We're sitting here. We're almost at the end of March. We're not ready to do year-end March. We will look at that next week, or month-end for March we'll look at next week. But here's our monthly closings. And for March of this year, right now we're at 373 closings. February, we had 381, so it will definitely surpass February. But the 373, if we compare that to March of last year, 419, we're not even... what is that, 46 below, I think, where we were last year. Considering all the data from this past week is not into the system yet, and we still have a couple or one more day, actually 2 more days of the month coming up this week, I certainly think that March will exceed March of last year. I think going into this month, I predicted it would be up about 10 to 15%. So I was predicting somewhere around, 440, 450. I don't know if we will get up that high or not. It'll just be interesting to see what happens. But definitely should be last year. So that's a positive sign if you're looking to sell your home. And where we break down the quarterly closings, for the first quarter this year, we're at 1,055. First quarter last year was 1,039. So we've already surpassed the first quarter of 2025. It just remains to be seen how much we will surpass that. Let's scroll on down here because I wanted to talk about a couple other things. Well, while we're at active inventory, we have the most inventory in the $400,000 to $500,000 price range. A lot more competition there than anywhere else. And also, if we look at our active relist, this is just how many homes have been pulled off the market and put back on the market within the past, without a 60-day gap of being on the market. And that's what we consider relist. These are your raw numbers, but you can look at the percentages here. The 600,000s lead the way with nearly 34% of all homes on the market in the 600,000 price range have been on the market, did not sell. So now they came off the market. Now they're back on the market. We also see some fairly high numbers in the 300,000 to 400,000 price range. 4 to 5 is high, and 5 to 6 is high. So really over a quarter, almost across the board, over a quarter of the homes out there that are currently on the market were on the market before, and they did not see success, so they pulled it off the market, and now they've put it back on the market. And that's a telling sign, because we'll talk a little bit more about where we're seeing success with the sellers. So stick around for just a few minutes. We'll do that. Once again, the zip codes 37128 is the most active zip code. Something I found out this week too is, if I remember the stat correctly, that 37128 is the most populated zip code, has the most number of residents, or the third most number of residents in the state of Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken, right there. I will double check that stat and confirm it next week, but just see that was an interesting stat for me. MLS days on the market versus what the Turner Victory team calculates for the true days on the market. Once again, lower price ranges, not a whole lot of difference there because we got some movement. But as you start getting into the 600,000 and 700,000s, quite a bit of difference in what you see on the MLS is the days on the market versus what we calculate. Showings per listing by price range. I think this is very telling right here. Where is all the activity? All the activity is below 400,000. 3.75 showings per listing in the under 400,000 price range. Once you start getting above 400,000, that really drops off. Only 2 showings, a little over 2 showings per week. Look at the 500,000s. Wow, that's that number is quite a bit down. That's telling me that for the number of listings we have, we don't have the demand there. So a very competitive market there. As we talked about before, new construction. Let's talk about that a little bit more. Nearly 40% of all our active inventory is new construction. 48% of what's under contract right now is new construction. Now, keep in mind that a lot of times new construction, you contract on that, and it may be 4, 6, 8, 10 months before you actually go to closing because there's a build time there. So that does not mean that 48% of everything that is selling in Rutherford County is new construction. It's just, normally for a existing home, you're somewhere around 35 days on the market from the time you go under contract till the time you close, but that's a very extended time period on new construction. As a matter of fact, though, what has closed in the past 6 months, 34% of the entire Rutherford County market that has closed is new construction. And you can certainly see the active inventory and what percentage of the market in that price point is new construction, and that is active inventory. You can see this for what's under contract and also what's closed. And some of these numbers, when you're getting to the 500,000s, 700,000s, 800,000s, you're getting up close to 45% of what has closed in that price point is new construction. What are your odds of selling in Rutherford County if you're a seller? What are your odds of selling? We calculate this, and I really like looking at either the past 6 months or the 12 months. The past 3 months, because the way the data is handled, it could be skewed just a little bit. But if you were on the market as a seller in the past 6 months, you have a 43% chance of getting your home sold. So everybody thinks every home sells. It does not sell. And this shows it right there that over half the homes that came on the market did not sell. So what does that tell you as a seller? It tells you the 3 Ps we talk about all the time. You've got to present it correctly. You've got to promote it correctly. But more importantly than anything, you've got to price it correctly. We are not in a market right now where buyers are overpaying. They just are not going to do it. They're too smart. There's too much data. And quite frankly, there's too many choices. So if you are wanting to price your home too high, there's going to be frustrations. And the stats show us, and we've looked at these stats many times, that if you are more than 2% higher than what you should be, what the market stats show you, and you have to start reducing, you will not only end up with a penalty of being on the market longer. As a matter of fact, we were talking about a 51-day penalty. Now it's up to a 53-day penalty. So homes that have to reduce their price stay on the market in Rutherford County 53 days longer than homes that did not have to reduce their price. But not only that, more importantly, the stats show that you actually end up making less money on your selling for less money than what you would if you would have priced it correctly from the start. So it's very important on that pricing. I cannot stress that enough if you are a seller. The other thing that I can't stress enough is look at the buying time. These are when things have closed. This is over the past year. The dark blue is the busiest months that we have. So May, and this is coming from last year. So May, July, and August. Okay, we're not there yet, right? We're close to there. If a home goes under contract, and as I said earlier, it takes about 35 days to close, and you're trying to hit a May closing, it's about time for you to be under contract. We're sitting here almost April 1st. So you only have 2 or 3 weeks to get that under contract and try to hit that May closing. And if you wait too long, if you're priced too high, if you're trying to play the market, think, oh, it's not the summertime yet, it's not the buying season, whatever. First of all, you're going to get stale on the market. But second of all, you're going to miss that window. And once you miss that window, the pricing, the downward pressure on the pricing is even stronger. So you need to make sure that you are pricing correctly from the start. All right, let's talk mortgage rates. Mortgage rates has been a big deal. I'm not a lender, but these come into play. The Middle East, inflation. That is impacting our mortgage rates. Not quite as much as I thought they would, but they are impacting them. Back February 26th, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Now, this is just a barometer that we measure all mortgages by. So your individual situation will differ as to what type of mortgage you get, what rate you get, what your closing costs are. But this is just a good way for us to look at mortgages across the board. But back on February 26th, the 30-year fixed rate had dropped below 6% for the first time in several years. It was at 5.98. And then we started having a conflict in the Middle East, went up a little bit. All of a sudden, we have inflation concerns. Gas prices have gone up. You know it. You're paying it at the pump. And as of Thursday, that's when they print this information. As of Thursday, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage was at 6.38%. That's, what is that, 0.4% higher. That is real dollars that it's costing a buyer every month if they buy a house right now, which still may be a great time for you to buy. Okay, so if you're a buyer, just know that the rates have gone up. They're better. They're much better than what they were back in May. Okay, so still the rates were trending though in our favor, but now they're not. And I don't know how long this is going to hold on. I can't predict what's going to go on in the Middle East. So keep that in mind. But if you're looking to buy, you need to make sure that you check with your lender. If you got pre-approved a month ago, check with your lender right now. See how this impacts you. If you're a seller, you've got to understand this has really impacted a buyer's buying power. The rule in real estate is for every 1% the mortgage rate goes up, a buyer loses 10% of value or 10% of buying power. Okay, so we've gone up nearly 5% or 0.5%, which means that a buyer has lost about 5% buying power in the past 2 or 3 weeks. So on a $400,000 home, if you've lost a percentage, that means you can't afford that $400,000 home now. You're going to have to look lower. If you're a seller, that means just a buyer that was qualified to buy your house 3 or 4 weeks ago may not be qualified now to buy that house. So it really does impact what's going on the market. Sometimes we like to not pay attention to that or just put our blinders on or whatnot. But I mean, these are real numbers, and they really affect the real estate. All right, let me do a little recap for you and give you a little bit of insight just real quickly here. We talked about the active listings. They're up 17% from last year, but they're not really growing right now because our new listings were down 31% year over year. So we're seeing that leveling off. It's really interesting. I mean, what this tells me is we've got some sellers sitting on the sideline, especially whenever you look at what percentage of those homes are new construction. So we've got a lot of sellers that just aren't doing anything right now. Homes are selling on average in 55 days across the board in Rutherford County. Okay. Last year it was 45 days. So it's taken 10 more days to actually get a home under contract now. Let me see. If you're priced right, I talked about this earlier. If you're priced right from day one and you don't have to reduce your the home, the price of the home, the average days on the market is 32 days. If you have to cut your price, if you're not getting activity and you have to cut your price, the average days on the market is 85 days. So there is a 53-day penalty for not pricing your home right. And again, just a couple months ago, that was a 51-day penalty. So the market's really speaking to those sellers who want to price their home too high. And it's just saying, we're not interested. Too much data out there, too many choices. Buyers are not going to overpay. Every seller thinks their home is in the best shape. They think it's the most unique, whatever it is. But I mean, the market's screaming at us. That's a stat. You can't overlook that stat. 38.2% of listings expire or cancel. They never get to closing. So almost 4 out of 10 homes that hit the market just never close at all. And let me see. I think that is it. Well, one more thing I've got right here on my notes that I highlighted. The sales price to original list price. And this is original list price, not the MLS list price. But in Rutherford County, across the board, things are still selling at 97.2% of the original list price. Now, that doesn't mean sellers are not giving concessions on top of that, but it does mean that they're still fairly close to list price, assuming that it is listed correctly and it goes under contract, because we just talked about some of them don't go under contract. I like using this data to help figure out what's going on with the market, and I think it's pretty clear what's going on. Here's the deal. If you're a buyer in Rutherford County, you've got options. You've got room that you have not had in years. The stats show it that homes are not selling for list price, and sellers are giving concessions. So you do have some options there. There's more inventory. Quite frankly, you have a little bit longer to make a decision. There's a little bit of room to negotiate, things of that nature. But with that said, the homes that are priced right and they're presented right and they're promoted right, they are selling fairly quickly. So don't think you've got all day to sit on it, but you do have options. Sellers, the pricing accuracy is everything. And it's not just, and you've got to price it for the condition. So, if you're not going to present your home correctly, if you're not going to get it in the right condition, don't think that you're going to be able to price it at market value either. There's too much competition, but if you price it correctly, you have an agent that promotes it correctly, and you've presented it correctly, homes are still selling. But that's where I hear the most frustration just across the board, not just with sellers, but with agents. They're saying, hey, this home won't sell. We're not getting any showings. We're not whatever. You're not going to get tons of showings. The average across Rutherford County right now is 2 showings per week per listing. So it's not like you got people beating down the door. Heck, back during the COVID days, we had more than that in 15 minutes. We'd have 5 or 10 families through there. So I hope if you've learned anything from this, that understanding the market, understanding your position as a seller, you've got to be priced right and presented correctly. As a buyer, you've got some options. It's still a good time to buy if it's a good time for you to buy. And that's going to be dependent upon your actual situation. Appreciate y'all tuning in again this week. Hopefully, y'all have left some comments. We'll answer those next week on any comments or questions that we have. Again, I'm John Turner. I am the team lead of the Turner Victory team here at Onward Real Estate. Our office is located in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I've been I'm about to approach my 26th year of doing this. So been doing it for quite a while, and really whenever we started figuring out the data and looking at it, it's really helped us out, and we bring this to you. Again, not only can you find this information, we can email it to you. We do have some of these stats broke down on our website, turnervictory.com. We've got county stats. We've got it broke down by zip codes. And we're in the process of bringing it to you by subdivision. So if we could take it all the way down to that level. So anyway, if you're interested in any of that, reach out to us. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope you make it a great week. And until next week, like I said, make it a great week. We'll see you then.